Part 2. The World of the Names. The Concepts, Shem and Eber. Names no longer convey much to us. They are means of identification on our hasty journey across the surface of the world. Just as numbers are no more to us than marks of orientation, offering an opportunity to make an efficient use of this world, make the most of it, enjoy it. We give names to our children, dogs, rockets, streets. Why? What does it matter? As long as in this diversity of names we know more or less which is which. We use numbers similarly for the sake of numerical order, also for the sake of telling things apart. Thus we have street numbers, telephone numbers, numbers for atoms, for chapters and verses in the Bible, numbers archives. We feed numbers to our computers. And on account of all this, it never occurs to us any more that names and numbers may have something to do with the essence of things. For actually everything has a name through language, through the word. Why is it we call a flower, a certain animal a horse, a direction north? Why do we call it that and not anything else? The language of the Bible shows that the word for any phenomenon in this world can lead us to its essence, to the everlasting, to that which, according to our concepts, is eternal. So we learn that every word is a name with an exactness of a higher order. When ancient lore mentions the name Hashem, it means God. It is the name in which all things have their being, from which arises the word. The Hebrews, the patriarchs of the Bible, derived from Shem, the son of Noah. Shem means nothing but name. The patriarchs are said to learn the Torah from Shem and Eber. Just as Shem means name, so Eber means from the other side. With opposite side, the other side is meant from another world. The Hebrew, the Ivri, as he is called uncorruptedly, therefore is a man who, viewed from this world, comes from another world. To this world he is a stranger. He operates other standards, has a different knowledge. As the story of the Ivri expresses itself in the patriarchs, in Joseph, in Moses, wherever he comes he breeds unrest. He is in opposition to the ordinary trend of affairs. He shatters the gods. He seems to be the signal for this world that there is something different. He awakens this world to that other. Those that have been awakened from their intoxication are not always kindly disposed. This too is the fate of the Ivri. We are well aware of the connection between the Ivri and the Neshama, just as there is a relationship between the Neshama in the body and the Shekinah in the world. So Shem and Eber are the tutors of the patriarchs of this world, the name, and he that comes from the opposite side from beyond. Knowing the profound meaning of the word and inspired by the knowledge of being of another world, knowing himself a stranger here, only with the promise that there will be a time when this world too will have all that, a promise which, however, throughout time proves to be at variance with the facts. In spite of that of the promise, one remains a stranger and acts nonetheless. So one ever acts for all that, acts gratuitously. That is why in ancient lore, Shem is identified with Melchizedek, king of Shalem, priest of God the Most High. The name indeed contains everything. Shalem means whole, fulfilled. Wondrous things occur in the history book of the Neshama. Names have to do with the Most High. The Word is with God. Through the Word we have the connection with God. And the Word names things, gives names to creation. So names are a very serious matter. And because of the primeval power of the language of the Ivri, the names in the Bible should most certainly be read attentively. The name Esther. What does Esther mean in our language? The name Esther in translation means I hide myself, or I am hidden, or I have hidden myself. It depends on the position given to the vowels, which the Bible emphatically does not know, does not want to know, must not know. In the first instance, one may look up in surprise at this name now that its translation is given. For has not Esther become a concept, an idea associated with an Oriental harem? Or it was not that any longer, and it simply became a name one could give to a daughter, whether or not aware of that Oriental Persian origin. Nonetheless, it cannot be denied. Esther in Hebrew means I hide myself, or I have hidden myself. The Ivri is the descendant of Shem, of the name. The Ivri takes the word seriously, takes the name seriously. And yet, on close consideration, this meaning of the concept, Esther, is not so very strange. For does not the story tell us that Esther keeps her origin a secret? Does not the whole story ultimately hinge on Esther's hiding her origin? Esther's appearance is quite clear, but where does it come from? What is her being? Esther guards her secret. Even her name bespeaks something secret. Her name implies her story. God hides himself. Ancient lore gives a deeper insight in the meaning of the name Esther. It points to this name occurring in Pentateuch, the essential story, the root story of the whole complex of the Bible. All that is found elsewhere in the Bible has its origin, and with it, its explanation, in the unity formed by the 5 books. Just as the story of the 6 days of creation form its root essence, its origin. For the Bible, like the universe and like life, is indeed a creation of God. In Deuteronomy 31:18, as a matter of fact, the name Esther does occur. There the word is translated as it should be, I shall hide my face. The words of the Torah in that passage deal with the end of times. It is emphatically called thus, Be Akriyat Ha-Jamim, Deuteronomy 31:29. They are the times leading up to the exile and the period of the exile itself. They are the times of decline from the zenith of evolution, the time of man's emancipation to independent godhood. And the Lord said unto Moses, Behold, thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, and this people will rise up and go a-whoring after the gods of the strangers of the land, whither they go to be among them, and will forsake me and break my covenant which I have made with them. Then my anger shall be kindled against them in that day, and I will forsake them, and I will hide my face from them, and they shall be devoured, and many evils and troubles shall befall them, so that they will say in that day, Are not these evils come upon us, because our God is not among us? And I will surely hide my face in that day, for all the evils which they have brought, in that they are turned unto other gods. Deuteronomy 31:16-18. And in connection with the end of times, it says a little lower down that evil will befall you in the latter days, because ye will do evil in the sight of the Lord, to provoke him to anger through the work of your hands. Emphasis is laid here on the characteristic expression that God will hide his face, completely hide his face. Owing to this hiding, evils and troubles will come, as it says in the translation. In the story of Esther, all this evil threatens, all these evils and troubles threaten overwhelmingly, complete eradication threatens to befall her people. It is the time of the end of days. The temple is destroyed, exile is a reality. Most remarkable coincidence that the word Esther should occur in Deuteronomy 31:18, like a root which lays down what in the story called Esther will come to full development. Viewed from this angle again, the story of Esther is in the sign of hiding one's face. In this passage, it is not the woman Esther who hides her face, but it is God himself. Could there possibly be a connection between this hiding and the other? The connection seems almost to be thrust upon our notice when we establish the fact that the story of Esther is the only story in the whole Bible, actually the only one in which the name of God is never mentioned at all. All kinds of things happen, a great many things to be sure. So many things happen so incidentally that even a confirmed atheist would be inclined to think of God as the cause of all. Yet God does not occur in the story even once, and the happening in the story is called Purim, which, mark well, means by the instrumentality of fate of coincidence. So God is most emphatically hidden in the story of Esther. We should almost feel urged to believe in a series of coincidences, because the name Purim. And yet, more than in the case of many other stories of the Bible, one should or would be inclined to point to God as the vital cause of all happenings. But God hides his face. just as Esther keeps her origin a secret and creates the appearance of being a mere woman, with the same tenacity to hide. In this story, therefore, the name Esther does not only refer to the woman Esther, to the mysterious woman who becomes a queen, but also to God, who hides his face mysteriously in that story.